Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game So Tarkin is the episode of the month that you've always been waiting for. MAME 283 is out, so we're going to be going over all of the new MAME updates, at least the big ones. Because just like Thanksgiving, the table is bountiful when it comes to MAME improvements, and it really is the gift that keeps on giving. And I know I already hinted at some big Sega Model 2 improvements coming in, but they've 100% all come into land on MAME 283, so we're going to be going over those today. If we're getting too far involved, do me a huge favor down below, hit like and subscribe and ring that notification bell, definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, got a Patreon link down below as well. And just so you know, we're going to be playing some House of the Dead, so there's going to be some flashing lights, so if you are sensitive to those, it's going to be starting right about now. But honestly, last time we took a look at the House of the Dead, I said it was about 85% of the way there visually, and about 100% of the way there gameplay-wise. We are getting a ton of improvements in the visuals in MAME 283, basically bringing the House of the Dead feeling extremely close to par with real hardware, or with the Model 2 standalone emulator. And because that emulator has been updated in forever, it is absolutely incredible to get this stuff over into MAME, because that means Model 2 is going to live a lot longer life. Because even though something like House of the Dead is still a popular arcade game, honestly I see it less and less on arcade floors these days. I just think it's down to the fact that late-gen games always get abused, and I'm really not sure how many people out there still know how to repair Model 2 hardware on the arcade front. A lot of times arcade operators, when a machine breaks or stops being totally profitable, they'll put something new on the floor, and a lot of House of the Deads are going to end up, unfortunately, dead in the bin. But all dad joke puns aside, this is definitely some improved graphics here, and I really can't see anything to point to that makes me think that I don't like the look of this. The colors are there, that skybox looks exactly like it should, and it has all of the drama and all of that kind of dark colorways that the House of the Dead is known for. And speaking of dead, I am exhausted from Thanksgiving. I ate a ton of food and I drank a ton of drinks, so leave me a comment down below and you tell me how your Thanksgiving was, because I would be curious. I always love hearing from you guys. But let's leave Model 2 behind for just a moment, because maybe my favorite update of MAME 283 is the fact that the Taito F3 board and other boards that use a specific Ensoniq chip, which I'll show you in just a moment, have gotten much better improvements, and now they sound exactly the same as real hardware. And trust me, if you're an arcade collector, you know the Taito F3 board can be very difficult to deal with, especially on the sync situation. So this is a board where I recommend that 99 out of 100 people just use software emulation, because the hardware is a pain in the ass to deal with, and I really don't like it, even though I love it. And because this is a sound improvement, we're going to be doing an early soundtrack sample, because that Ensoniq chip was absolutely a banger when it came to reproducing some incredible music. So go ahead and listen, and I'll be right back with a lot more. I mean, one of the nicest things about the Taito F3, even though it had some incredible sprite scaling, it always gets talked about on the visual front, is that Ensoniq SD1 sound synthesizer in there. And if that chip sounds familiar, that's because a lot of the Ensoniq hardware was also used for different keyboards back in the day for music production, and Taito always loved to have great music because they had Zuntata as their in-house band, so they definitely prioritized having some great audio tracks. And now in the new version of MAME, you're just going to get a better sounding F3, and trust me, that is going to be a big difference. And even though it didn't sound bad before, it was not correct or accurate, and again, I can't stress enough just how annoying the Taito F3 arcade board can be. You basically have to have a very specialized arcade monitor if you want to get sync, or something like the RetroTink 4K or Pixel Effect Marks 4K that will actually pull sync on one of these things. If you try to use a FrameMeister, it can absolutely not work, and if you try to use an OSSC, it definitely requires some fiddling, and it is all down to the Ensoniq chip on the actual PCB, and that getting a lot more improvements in this new version of MAME. It sounds absolutely incredible, and the music in all of these games is some of the best arcade music ever made by any developer out there, so getting a better sounding Taito F3 and other Ensoniq chips absolutely makes a world of difference. So we're going to do a second soundtrack sample, and I'm going to try not to shoot any of the enemies so you can hear the music, because this, in my opinion, is the best track Zuntata ever made. I mean, absolutely incredible song, absolutely incredible game with Darius Gaiden, and now in MAME, it sounds perfect compared to the arcade board. If there's any difference whatsoever, I cannot hear it, and this is a board that I definitely collect a ton of games for, so much so that I made a Taito F3 series that I have not yet shown. Maybe in 2026 I'll start unveiling that. Let's jump back to Sega Model 2 because of course that is going to be more popular than something like the Taito F3, even though I think they probably have as amazing of a library as one of the other ones. This is just so good to see the House of the Dead in this condition right now. All of the textures are correct, all of the micro textures seem to be working as well, and again you're getting it married to one of the best arcade games ever made by Sega or anyone else. And even though I do have a Model 2 board for the House of the Dead in my closet, I actually don't have a 24 kHz or medium resolution monitor working right now, so even I can't actually play my original board. Now I am moving houses soon, so hopefully I can get another monitor in there space-wise, so I can actually have a tri-sync, because some games just have to run at 24 kHz as far as resolution is concerned, and that can be annoying for light guns. Or something like Sega Rally right now, still a couple missing sound effects, but this game is infinitely playable, and I did preview this earlier in the month. We're just getting to the point now where most Model 2 games will just run, outside of stuff like The Last Bronx and other games, on one particular Model 2 board. And that is because Sega didn't just make one Model 2, they actually made multiple different revisions and basically increased the specs when you actually go from one board to the other. It's kind of like the different steps on Sega Model 3, except for the Model 2. And that is because 3D technology, which is basically moving so fast back in the day, every single year Sega could upgrade something like the Model 2 to get better performance out of it. So if you hit a game that just does not want to run whatsoever, that has corrupted graphics, just remember, this is still in development, and one of the Model 2 boards really isn't buttoned up that much as of yet. But don't worry, the minute it happens, I will definitely update you guys all in a video, that way you know exactly what's going on. But there's so many different fun Model 2 games to play, and because a lot of people don't like using the old standalone Model 2 emulator, having these things available in MAME, which is going to keep the games alive for that much longer. And that is why emulation is so important. That is why I love doing these videos. I grew up with these games, I love them from start to finish, and knowing that I can play them forever as well as anyone else just makes me absolutely happy, because these games deserve preservation in every form. Let's move back over to the House of the Dead with one more soundtrack sample so you can get a sense of what it sounds like, and then I'll be back to tell you a little bit more about F3 and other changes.
You can go upstairs from that room. Watch out behind you! Quick, open the lock!
Thank you.
Thank you.
I mean, it also sounds exactly like the House of the Dead should sound, and that really is the main takeaway here. So I'm going to do just some gameplay without any cuts, so you can get a sense of everything you're looking at on the screen. Go ahead and pay attention to the textures, go ahead and pay attention to the models, all of the different lighting schemes, and everything else that make up the House of the Dead. That is how good MAME is now doing with this game, because honestly, you could just sit here and I could tell you this was the old Model 2 emulator, and you would 100% believe, and I could tell you it was original arcade hardware, and you would believe it outside of the fact that the capture is too clean. That is because obviously we're not dealing with analog sources here in the video capture chain. It is all digital, and in some ways that makes the game look a little bit better in my opinion, because you can just see a little bit more detail. Because capturing analog arcade boards is always a challenge. Every single board has a different overall vibrancy and brightness to it, so you basically spend half the time with the capture just kind of adjusting things in your capture chain. That way you can actually make it look exactly like it should on a monitor. Because a lot of times back in the day, these games just weren't color calibrated for the fact that they were going to be on a CRT, but Sega would buy a batch of CRTs from a certain maker and basically calibrate the colors for that game to that exact monitor spec and that exact cabinet build. So what these games are actually supposed to look like is a little bit of a science lost to time. Sure, we have a lot of examples and a lot of data, but honestly when you go to these arcade games, it can be really hard to exactly say this is 100% what the game should look like. That's definitely just something to keep in mind when you're thinking about colors and whether or not they're accurate. The reality is, accuracy isn't even really something that we can 100% define. But as far as how the House of the Dead 2 is playing here, 10 out of 10, amazing. I played it from start to finish, had no issues whatsoever. And you can definitely run this on a gun for IR, on a mouse, or any other light gun you want like a Sinden, and you'll be having an amazing time in Sega Model 2 emulation, and that makes everyone happy for sure. But honestly, if I had to pick a favorite this month, and of course it was a slower month for November on the MAME side of things, it has got to be the sound improvements on those Ensoniq chips and Taito F3, just because I absolutely love this board. I have a large collection of games for it, and honestly now with MAME improving this, I think I might actually default to MAME when I play the games outside of actually using my real arcade hardware. And honestly, that's the highest estimate I can give to something like software emulation, when it makes me not want to get my super gun out, hook up the boards, hook them up to my PVM and play that way. And don't get me wrong, I'll still definitely do that because I love the original hardware onto a PVM. When I just want to sit down for 20 minutes and play an arcade game and not have to spend a lot of time setting it up, I want perfect emulation, and honestly now with the F3 and the Ensoniq chip improved, definitely getting there. But short of that, leave me a comment down below, tell me what you want to see in MAME next month, and don't forget to tell me how your Thanksgiving was. If you never played Elevator Action Returns, definitely play it, but I'll see you next time. Bye bye.